All right, welcome Jennie Traill Schaeffer. Thank you for coming to Casa Bella Market, talking about your art and some workshops. Can you tell me where you're from and how you came into being an artist?
Yes, so I am born and raised from Easton, Pennsylvania, or in Easton, Pennsylvania. And so I'm definitely a Northeasterner. And then after going to college in upstate New York, like real upstate New York, Syracuse, I landed in New Jersey and spent the last about 20 years around northern New Jersey in both rural and urban areas, and just recently relocated to Durham 2 years ago.
Great.
And the other part of the question was,
how did you come into being an artist?
How did I come into being an artist? So I think I was born an artist. There's a lot of artists in my family. So my dad plays the guitar as a hobby. My mom is a jewelry maker, metalsmith, went to art school, was an art teacher, and was always making things as I was young. And I was always encouraged to create. So I was always drawing, painting, making things. I actually had an interest for a period of time, like adolescence, of building dollhouse furniture from kids. And I renovated a dollhouse. So there was a lot of making, a lot of creativity that was nurtured. I had a great grandmother who was a painter, a great uncle who was a painter. I feel like there might be somebody on my dad's side, distantly from Italy, who may have been a sculptor. So I think it's just in my blood. And it was nurtured.
Yeah. So besides your family, is there an artist who you're most influenced by?
It's hard to say one most influenced artist, because so many people have touched me in different ways, from artists who taught me directly to artists that I have studied. I think maybe I can narrow it to 3 artists. Maybe. Nancy Bossard I studied with when I was in high school. So I took in a lot of her training. She was an artist. She is an artist in Pennsylvania. And then I also feel that Jerome Whitkin, who I studied with at Syracuse University, was highly influential in my painting style. And then lastly, as an artist that I admire who I've never met, I would say Alice Neal was really impactful on me.
Okay, great. Now, how does teaching fit into your artwork?
So teaching has always, I think, I went to art school and studied both painting and art education. And I actually got a full degree in both, even though I only have one physical diploma. So I studied the full credits for both disciplines. And I think that I, had the mentality after art school that I wanted to teach, I wanted to change the world. I wanted to have an impact on individual people. I also was told at the end of art school that I should not be a teacher, that I should go and be a full-time painter by many of my professors. And I actually felt ill-equipped to choose that path. For many reasons. So I went, head first into teaching, taught in public schools for a little while, and quickly learned that that wasn't the space where I wanted to dedicate my time long term. So I shifted and created a business around my art in 2005, and teaching was a component. So I started teaching privately, and then gradually over time that built into something bigger. And at this point in time, what I've learned through 20 years of teaching is that when I'm not teaching, while I can have moments of, bursts of productivity, I find that I miss the dialogue and the engagement that working with students provides. It's inspirational to me. And it also, I think that element of giving back my knowledge, I think is really crucial to sort of filling me up so that I can create more.
Oh, that's amazing. So can you tell me more about your artwork, TeaScapes, that are available at Casa Bella Market?
Yeah, so this is a series of work that is still developing. It started back in 2017. I went on a vacation to Wyoming and Utah. There was a lot of turbulent things going on in my family life at that time, and we went for this family vacation, and being out west in that landscape was, I think, the first time that we as a family felt at peace. And prior to that point in time, a lot of my work had focused on appliances, kitchen appliances, machines. There's a lot of spiritual aspects to it, but it was about the physical man-made object. And I think I was losing interest in that around that time. So we went on this trip and I came back and I had been collecting tea packages that I had, drank from. For a few years, I was kind of torn about, should I throw them away? Should I save them? And something urged me to save them. So when I got back from this trip, I started looking at, just hundreds of photos that I had taken of places, and decided to play around with what can I do with this on a piece of paper. And then what I learned that I could do is actually by opening it up with it's just a tea package that the tea bag sits in or is sealed in. By opening it up, opening it up, I've learned that I can coat the surface of this and lay it directly onto the paper, adhering it, and then it's actually called a transfer because I'm lifting this lining off and it's leaving the print on the surface. So then I started playing around with watercolor. I'm a trained oil painter, and for a variety of reasons, with young kids and managing the balance of working and being present for my kids, I wasn't taking care of my supplies. So oils were starting to feel burdensome. So I started working more with watercolors. It was just easier. I could let it sit and not worry as much about my brushes getting damaged. So I started playing around with layering the watercolor on top of the tea packaging. And I think around that time, I also started a meditation practice. And that's where it's like all of these three disparate pieces started coming together, and I started to recognize that I needed to create physical space in both my work and in my life. And so that's where the TeaScapes came from.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Can you talk more about the medium and the process you used to create the works?
I guess I kind of just did that. But I can talk a little bit more about that in that, I started out with just simply, originally it was landscapes, only landscapes with the tea packaging. And the tea packaging, I'm very intentional with trying to figure out a correlation between the place and something about the tea. So maybe it's the color of the packaging, or it's an ingredient in the packaging that somehow I find a relationship to the place. Sometimes I will lay the tea package on the surface first without a plan, and then allow that to inform how the work develops and what goes on it. Other times I might have a thought already, something that seems to jive together. And then over time, I started incorporating the chair. And the chair, this is a little more subject matter than medium, but the chair started seeping in as a subject. I've had some other larger pieces that I've worked it in, but it was literally coming from a more intense meditation practice where I had a teacher who would invite us to take a seat at the beginning of each session or each sit. So I started inserting the chairs. And I also realized at this point, people started asking me why the chairs. And it dawned on me, since almost the beginning of my work in art school, chairs have been present in some way, even with the appliances. So there's something bigger about the chair.
Yeah, interesting, yeah. So you're offering a workshop teaching meditative TeaScape painting. So what can students expect to learn in this workshop?
So they are going to be guided working on a piece of watercolor paper that's about the same size here. This is a 5x7. They're going to be guided in learning how to do a transfer, to literally take this tea package, and it can be a package that they bring themselves that's meaningful to them or that they connect with, or it can be from the the stash that I have. They're going to learn how to take this, put it onto the surface. Some of it will have to be nurtured through using a hairdryer to speed up the drying process. And then building up a watercolor on top of that, and thinking about how do you choose that landscape, or how do you make that connection, possibly touching on composition a little bit, also just handling the medium on the surface.
Okay, great. So we are offering that workshop on Saturday, September 23rd at Casa Bella Market from
3 to 5.
Thank you. 3
Yeah.
to 5 p.m. You can sign up at our website, casabellamarketnc.com, under events. And I think it's going to be a really interesting workshop, and I love the story and the meaning behind all of it. So thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to share?
No, I think we touched on a lot.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to be here, and I hope that this will be a good opportunity to start, connecting with people on a deeper level.
Yes. Well, looking forward to it. Can't
Thank
wait.
you.
Sign up today. Thank you.